Looks can indeed be deceiving. This here is an audio transmitter. This other one here is also a transmitter, but also a receiver, a stereo recorder, a timecode box, a camera hop, an in-ear monitor unit, and a USB audio interface. This thing's more successful at being Asian than I am. Our little overachiever here is the BP-TRX from Deity microphones. BP stands for body pack and TRX means it's a transceiver. It's capable of both transmitting and receiving a signal. And due to the sheer number of modes this can operate in, operation can be a bit overwhelming at first, so I'm going to try to make this as brain-friendly as possible. I've classified the things the BP-TRX can do into 3 utilization groups. There's the features that have it serve as part of a typical wireless microphone system, then there's a few modes I like to call audio distribution modes, and finally there's a bunch of standalone modes. So for category number 1, being part of a wireless mic system, you've got 2 modes, transmitter and receiver. If you've got 2 BP-TRXs, you would set one to transmit and one to receive. But it would also work with the other members of the Deity Connect family. If you've got a BP-TX, Duo RX or HD-TX, you can pair those with the TRX just fine. You also get the option to remotely change the transmitter settings from the receiving BP-TRX. You may also have noticed the transmitter mode is labeled as TX plus record. That's because this can record the input internally onto a micro SD card, all while simultaneously transmitting it. Unfortunately, if the BP-TRX is the one receiving a signal, it will not be able to record that signal. But here's something else interesting that I noticed. The BP-TRX is actually stereo compatible. If you set it up correctly, you can feed it a stereo signal and it would transmit that stereo signal both channels intact and vice versa. I've successfully output a stereo signal sent out from the BP-TRX received on the Duo RX. I've also been able to output stereo received on the BP-TRX sent out from the HD-TX. But assuming mono is all you need to work with, that frees up another use for that second channel. You can set the output mode to sync, and the TRX will output timecode into the left channel and your actual audio into the right. For DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, the timecode data is encoded in the form of an audio track, otherwise known as LTC, but if you plan to use this with a high-end cinema camera that supports timecode natively, Deity was kind enough to include this really useful cable in the box. It basically sends the timecode channel into this BNC connector, which goes into your camera's timecode port, while the audio channel gets routed into this XLR connector. Now moving on to the audio distribution category. Imagine you're on a shoot with multiple cameras and the audio is being recorded separately. You want to send the audio from the sound recorder to each of the cameras. This is when camera hop mode comes in. One BP-TRX on the recorder side is set to function as the master transmitter. It will broadcast to 4 BP-TRXs set to camera hop mode, each feeding the audio into a camera. On each receiver, you can choose to output only a mono audio track or audio plus timecode so your cameras are in sync with your recorder. But what if, instead of feeding audio to a camera, you want to let a person monitor it? Could be the director, could be your boom op. Then instead of camera hop, you set a receiver to IEM mode and plug in a pair of headphones. IEM stands for in-ear monitor. My only gripe with IEM mode on this is there is no quick way to change the output volume like you should be able to on any good IEM system. The camera hop and IEM modes are essentially quite similar to the conventional transmitter-receiver modes. The key difference is these distribution modes can have one transmitter go out to 4 receivers. But there is one catch. These audio distribution modes on the BP-TRX are unique in a sense that they only work among BP-TRX units. The master transmitter has to be a BP-TRX and it can only broadcast to other BP-TRXs. In these 3 specific modes, it will simply refuse to pair with the other Deity Connect units. And now we arrive at the standalone modes. These are modes when the BP-TRX can just be an offline self-contained tool, such as the timecode box mode. In this mode, the BP-TRX serves only as a timecode generator. It doesn't handle anything related to sound recording. You can feed it an external timecode to jam with through its input jack, and it outputs timecode from its output jack. Fairly straightforward. In this mode, you get to choose among free run timecode and RTC timecode, which bases timecode off its internal clock. Standalone recorder mode should be pretty self-explanatory. 48 kHz at 24-bit stereo recording through the input jack, monitor through the output jack. You can also have it output timecode plus audio in this mode, and if timecode is in fact enabled, it will be written to the recorded file as metadata. And last but not least, you can connect your BP-TRX to your computer over USB-C, and it becomes a 2-in 2-out audio interface. There's no specific mode in the settings for this, it's more of which modes are compatible with the USB audio feature. As long as the BP-TRX is set to one of these 3 modes, your computer should be able to recognize the BP-TRX as a USB audio device. These also happen to be the same 3 modes where internal recording is available on the BP-TRX. These are basically modes where a source is physically connected to the unit when it is either transmitting or recording passively. So the rule still maintains. The BP-TRX cannot record or send over USB a wirelessly received signal. That is unless Deity decides to change that in a firmware update, which I hope they do. There's quite a number of neat stuff that comes with the BP-TRX, for example that timecode sync cable and a basic lavalier microphone. But one thing it painfully did not come with is a graceful solution for mounting the body pack to a camera. The belt pack form wouldn't be an issue for audio bags and such, but right now there's simply no graceful way of mounting this onto a camera. You can unscrew the belt clip to reveal a 1/4-inch thread, but that would still require something like a magic arm if you want to put this on a camera. It would be really nice if they designed a cold shoe mounting solution for this, or something similar. Deity is pricing the BP-TRX at $249. Which honestly is a freaking bargain for everything this can do. Typically, timecode boxes alone would already cost around this much. I can't really come up with a reason why this isn't a good audio investment. The only thing I can possibly think of is this cannot drive condenser mics requiring phantom power over XLR, which is an area covered by the HDTX. But otherwise, this little belt pack is already offering more than what I need on a regular basis. I love the fact that it comes with timecode, which is typically only existent on high-end systems. I should also note how rare it is to see a device with features designed for pro film set workflows appearing at civilian prices. I'll drop links below for anyone interested, and if not, just keep watching my videos until something interesting does show up.